Claude Antoine Marie François, also known by the nickname Clo-Clo, was an Egyptian-born French pop singer, songwriter and dancer. François wrote and composed Comme d'habitude, the original version of My Way, and Parce que je t'aime mon enfant, the original version of My Boy. Among his most famous songs are Le téléphone pleure, Le lundi au soleil, Magnolias Forever, and Alexandrie Alexandra. François sold some 70 million records during his career and was about to embark for the US, when he was accidentally electrocuted in March 1978 at age 39. Former French President Valéry Giscard d'Estaing is quoted as saying Claude François was, to him, the equivalent of the Beatles. Early life. The son of a French father and a Calabrian mother, François was born in Egypt, in the city of Ismailia, where his father, Émile François, was working as a senior manager in the Anglo-French Suez Canal Company on the Suez Canal. In 1951, the job took the family to the city of Port Tawfiq on the Gulf of Suez. The singer's full name was Claude Antoine Marie François. It was traditional in his father's family to give boys names that start with the letter A, but his mother managed to impose her will and named him Claude. Antoine was then given as a middle name, and Marie, the name of the Virgin Mary, was also given in order to protect the child. François had an older sister, Joost, who wrote her memoirs in 2008. François' mother, Lucia Mazet, also known as Joost, was very musical and had her son take piano and violin lessons. On his own, the boy learned to play the drums. As a result of the 1956 Suez Crisis, the family returned to live in Monaco, where they struggled financially after François' father fell ill and could not work. The family's expulsion from a wealthy life in Egypt was the first of the traumas that affected his whole life. The young François found a job as a bank clerk and at night earned extra money playing drums with an orchestra at the luxury hotels along the French Riviera. With a good but untested nasal singing voice, he was offered a chance to sing at a hotel in the fashionable Mediterranean resort town of Juan-les-Pins. His show was well received and eventually he began to perform at the glamorous nightclubs along the Côte d'Azur. His father's decision to turn his back on his son when he became a musician in Monte Carlo in 1957 was the second trauma that affected the rest of his life. While working in a club, he met Janet Woolacott in 1959, an English dancer whom he married in 1960. Professional career and personal life. François moved to Paris, where there were many more opportunities to pursue his career. At the time, American rock and roll was taking hold in France and he took a job as part of a singing group in order to make a living. With the goal of eventually making it as a solo act, he paid the cost to record 45 revolutions per minute. Trying to capitalize on the American dance craze, The Twist, François recorded a song titled N'About Twist that proved a resounding failure. Undaunted, in 1962 he recorded a cover version in French of an Everly Brothers song, Made to Love, written by Phil Everly. It had been only a minor hit in America, but François' rendition titled Belle 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 rocked to the top of the French charts, selling close to 2 million copies and making him an overnight star. François' career continued to blossom under a new manager. In 1963 he followed the first success with another French adaptation of an American song, this time recording If I Had a Hammer and Walk Right In French as Si J'avais un marteau and marched outright. François met Michel Bourdieu, who was working for the well-known French magazine Salut les Copains. He liked the rigor and the precision of Michel's drawings and asked him to draw his portrait. This drawing has remained very famous. Capitalizing on his blonde good looks, he mimicked Elvis Presley's stage style as well as the slicked-back hair, performing in sequined suits. François gave high-energy stage performances that had hordes of adoring teenage fans racing to the music shops to purchase his latest record or lining up to buy a ticket for his shows. On 5 April 1963, he headlined at the Paris Olympia, a sign that he had arrived. At the end of that year, François created original new dance steps, and Michel Bourdet drew them. For the first time, they brought up the idea of setting up a show with female dancers. In 1964 he began a relationship with a 17-year-old Eurovision-winning singer France Gall, which lasted until 1967. While returning from a trip to Las Vegas in January 1965, François, fascinated by the American shows, decided to take them as a model, and eventually the project of performing on the stage with a female dancer band became clear in his mind. A dedicated professional, François worked hard to achieve success, producing a string of massively popular hit songs and touring constantly. With the onslaught of Beatlemania, he covered their hits in French, slightly adjusted the hairstyle, and kept his success moving ahead. His talent for kitsch extended beyond copying the works others had made famous, and he wrote songs for himself and displayed a melodic voice when singing romantic ballads. In 1966, François created a complete new stage act using 4 female dancers as backup. Named Les Claudettes, the sexy girls danced in the background while François did his own energetic work center stage. In a return to the Paris Olympia, he added 8 musicians and a full orchestra to his backup dancers, putting on a spectacular show that filled every seat in the large theater and left fans standing in the street for lack of tickets. Flushed with enormous success and confidence, he established his own record company. In March 1967 he was finally divorced from Janet Woolacott, who had left him in 1962. This failed marriage was one of the 3 big traumas that affected his whole life. The relationship with France Gall ended in July 1967. After this, François had an affair with singer Anefo, who refused to marry him. In 1967, he and Jacques Rivaux wrote and composed a song in French called Comme d'habitude, which became a hit in francophone countries. Canadian singing star Paul Anka reworked it for the English-speaking public into the now legendary hit most famously sung by Frank Sinatra as My Way. François soon got consolation when he arranged a date with model Isabelle Forret, whom he had first met a few years before. Their relationship lasted from 1967 to 1972 and produced 2 sons, Claude Jr. in July 1968 and Marc in November 1969. He hid the existence of his second son for 5 years because he thought that being a father of 2 would destroy his boyish image as a free man and seducer. He sang the original version of Parce que je t'aime, Mon enfant, in 1971. It remained relatively little known in France, but Elvis Presley covered it under the title, My Boy. Although François continued his successful formula of adapting English and American rock and roll hits for the French market, by the 1970s the market had changed and the disco craze that swept North America took root in France. This was no problem for the versatile François. He simply reinvented himself as the king of French disco, recording La Plus Belle Chose du Monde, a French version of the Bee Gees' hit record, Massachusetts. Looking for new talent, he came across a singing family of 2 sisters and their cousins. These ladies became known as Les Flechettes. He produced a couple of albums for them before his death, and the ladies went on to sing for some of the major stars in European music. He worked non-stop, touring across Europe, Africa and at major venues in Quebec and Canada. However, in 1971, his workload caught up with him when he collapsed on stage from exhaustion. After a brief period off, he returned to the recording studios, releasing several best-selling hits throughout the early 1970s. He expanded from owning his own record company to acquiring a celebrity magazine and a modeling agency. Although driven to achieve financial success, in 1974 he organized a concert to raise funds for a charity for handicapped children, and the following year he participated in a Paris concert to raise funds for medical research. By 1972 he was single again, dating several well-known European stars. Finnish model Sofia Keukkinen 1973–76 and American model Kathleen H. Jones Mann 1976–78 were his most important relationships of this period. He also had an affair with his dresser Sylvie Matter around 1974–78. He continued to perform while overseeing his numerous business interests. In 1975, while in London, he narrowly escaped death when an IRA bomb exploded in the lobby of the Hilton Hotel, and 2 years later a fan tried to shoot him while he drove his car. In 1977 and 1978, more than 15 years after his first hit record, he was still topping the musical charts with multi-million sales from hits such as Alexandria Alexandra, and performing to large audiences. International career. He performed an international career mostly in Belgium and Switzerland, but also in Italy, Spain, England and Canada. In 1976, his song, Le Téléphone Pleure, reached number 34 in the UK Top 40. On 16 January 1978, he performed, for the first time for a French singer, a gala at the Royal Albert Hall in London to an audience of 6,000. Death. After working in Switzerland on 9 and 10 March and recording a television special for the BBC on Saturday 11 March 1978, he returned to his Paris apartment in order to appear, the next day, on Les Rendezvous du Dimanche, with TV host Michel Drucker. While taking a shower, he noticed that the light fixture was not straight on the wall. He tried to straighten it and was accidentally electrocuted. François owned a house near the village of Danemois in the Essonne department, about 55 kilometers south of Paris. It was a place where he liked to spend time relaxing, in the quiet countryside, and Danemois is the town where he was buried. He also had a flat in Paris, 46 Boulevard Aix-Aumans, where he died. Legacy. On the 11th of March 2000, the 22nd anniversary of his death, Place Claude François in Paris was named in his memory. It is located right in front of the building where he died. A biopic called Clo-Clo was released in March 2012 to coincide with the anniversary of his death. It runs 2.5 hours long and stars Jeremy Rainier. Claude François's sons, Claude Jr. and Marc, have meticulously assumed the management of their father's artistic heritage over the years. Discography. Albums 2012. Génération Clo-Clo. 2012. 30 ANs. Edition Anniversaire. Singles. N'About Twist. Belle. 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 Pauvre Petite Fille Riche. Si j'avais un marteau. J.Y. Pense puis j'ai oublié. Donna Donna. Je sais. Quand un bateau passe. Même si tu revenais. Mais combien de temps? Reviens-moi vite. Je t'attendrai. Mais quand le matin, comme d'habitude, pardon. Ozzy Loin. Avec la tête, avec le cœur. Resta. Dans les orphelinats. Un monde de musique. Une petite fille aux yeux rouges. Un jour au laughter. Cherche. Mon cœur est une maison vide. Tout éclate, tout explose. C'est de l'eau, c'est du vent. Le monde est grand, les gens sont beaux. Si douce mon souvenir, parce que je t'aime mon enfant. C'est la même chanson. Et pourtant le temps passé, je vais mieux. Bye bye petite Julie. Plus rien qu'une adresse en commune. Il fait beau, il fait bon. S'il y a une romance. Voyez le printemps qui chante. En attendant, le lundi au soleil. Belinda, je viens dîner ce soir. Je t'embrasse. Apart California la vs belle, Sha-la-la, chanson populaire, le mal-aimé acute, la musique américaine, le téléphone pleure, toyez-moi contre le monde entier, Saudé nil n'y reste qu'une chanson, le chanteur malheureux, jouez quelque chose de simple, le spectacle est terminé, pourquoi pleure, 17 an, une chanson française. C'est le bonhomme, deux petits hommes, c'était un année acute la Bob Gaudio, Eddie Manai, la solitude c'est après, le vagabond, danse mauvais, quelquefois, je vais chério, les anges, les roses et la pluie, toi et le soleil, c'est comme California que l'on s'est aimé acute, écoute ma chanson, et je t'aime tellement. Magnolias Forever, Alexandra, English songs, Go Where the Sun is Brighter, Monday Morning Again, Love Will Call the Tune, Hello Happiness, Tears on the Telephone, I Know, You Are, My Boy, My World of Music, Crying in His Heart, My Way, I Believe in Father Christmas, Stop, 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 Keep on Driving.